Welcome back to the Tata Chevy LS Swap C10 build. Fuel pump is finally in. So on this episode we're going to try and do everything we didn't do on the last episode. We're going to put the fuel tank in, obviously the pump, look at the wiring for the swap and the truck wiring, and hopefully that should be pretty simple, nothing too butchered I hope, but we'll get to that hurdle when we get to it. So let's do it. Gas tank's in. I had to fluff around making some hoses and stuff. What a surprise, the truck didn't have a tank or anything. The tank's in, fuel line's sitting in. I just gotta put the pump and all that sort of stuff in. So victories, small victories, but you know, victories nevertheless. Alright, I think I made most of my brackets for up top. I made a bracket for the fuse. I just gotta put in a couple of bolts, one on either side. Radiator, boom, 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 and also my reservoir slash overflow slash degas bottle mounts. Tabs are gonna sit there and there. I'd put this little side bracket here because it was just a little bit too flimsy, so that should help it. I'll let it cool down. I just finished welding it, so we'll put it on in a second. Overflow bolted in, nice and sturdy. So I think the only thing we really have to do is the wiring and find a permanent solution for this. I normally like to use the plastic that it kind of wrapped in the Suburban, but it was broke, so gonna have to make something else, but we'll figure that out later. So as said, now we just gotta do the wiring, this big bundle of worms, but fortunately we only need a couple of wires from it, so we'll go and start that. All right, let's start at the very beginning for the wiring. So this is a 2001 Suburban, I can't remember. Anyway, as far as getting the computer to work without undoing, taking it to get the VATs taken off and all that sort of stuff, what you can do is, this is a body control module. In some of the later trucks it's in a different spot, but the early ones, this is where it is. This is what it looks like. If you unplug these, all three of them, while the engine is running, so you got the truck running, then you unplug these, 1, 2, 3, boom. You will be able to use the computer without having to take the VATs off, because the computer will think it's unlocked. So that is trick hint slash number 1. So for the next part, if you're using the factory fuse box, we're going to need this wire right here. This one here is the wire for your fuel pump, so you can hook it up straight up to your fuel pump, and it'll be triggered when the computer gets power. It'll do your your prime cycle, and then shut off till you start it. And this is your main one, main power for everything, blah 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 blah. But this one here is the only other one that you need, and there's only 2 wires that you need to use. It is these 2 need to have power. One needs constant power, and then one is just the trigger from your factory, whatever you put in ignition. So they're the only 2, and the fuel pump that you need to fire up the truck. So I'm gonna wire those up. I've got everything else put on. I've got the intake, beautiful intake. This is all nice and tight. Throttle cable's done. There's a ground. Need to put a ground on. Well, I probably need a battery first. But what we're also going to do is I'm going to hook up an OBD2 as well, but I'm going to keep it inside here. I think I'm just going to mount it underneath here like this, so you just plug it in. Boop, right there. Don't have to run it all over the place, but it gives you diagnosis and so forth if you need it. Obviously, with this configuration, it's not going to be real happy. There's going to be a lot of codes for everything, so don't stress too much about that. You're just mainly concerned about any running codes. So let me get this wired up. The fuel pump, already wired it up, so I just got to do the ignition and put a battery in. I've fixed this, so I'm gonna have to mount that little bit of glue and a couple of screws. So we'll have to mount him somewhere nice, and a battery. I'm not sure what sort of battery they were running previously, but this thing is tiny. I cannot fit a battery in here, so I'm gonna have to extend it or do something with it. But that's later priority. We want to hear this puppy fire up, so let me get wiring. Okay, I've primed the pump a few times, so now let's see if it'll fire up. I've got the wires just kind of pretty shady, but give proof of concept, make sure everything's where it needs to be, then we can start putting it in properly. So let's go. I'll prime it up again. I'm just jumping the starter for now. Pretty good. Pretty happy for the first start. There's no O2s in it yet, so it probably won't be happy to run too long anyway, so that's cool. Excited, very excited. Let's put some water in it and do some other little finishing up stuff, and it's ready to send down the road, right? Well, almost. I've got the shifter linkage and stuff like that to do, so let's get after it. Thanks for coming along this episode. We got a lot done, which I'm pretty excited about. Obviously we got running, and most of the stuff wired up. We've got a few more things. I got shifter linkage. I got to mount the computer and a couple of other bits and bobs. But as you saw, I got the OBD2, and I'm probably not gonna buy a heap of gauges. Probably just buy a little tablet and just run it like that. I mean, it's a lot cheaper than buying all the gauges and all that sort of stuff. I think the only one we're going to need is obviously the fuel sender unit gauge. It's already there, so I might as well take advantage of that. So if you're mildly entertained, leave me a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.